Hello, everyone. Today, I am going to tell you a story, and I will speak slowly so you can practice your English. My advice for learning is simple. Listen carefully, repeat the sentences 2 or 3 times every day, and keep practicing for at least a week. This way, the words will stay in your memory. Now, let's begin our story. It was a bright morning when Leila woke up with excitement. She had been waiting for this day for months, her first solo trip abroad. She checked her bag again and again, making sure her passport, ticket, and wallet were all in place. With a smile, she whispered to herself, "This is going to be a great adventure." She arrived at the airport early. The building was full of travelers, families, and announcements echoing across the hall. Leila felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She held her ticket tightly as she walked to the check-in counter. Leila said, "Good morning. I have a flight to Paris." The check-in agent smiled and said, "Good morning. May I have your passport, please?" Leila replied, "Of course, here it is." The agent looked at the passport carefully and said, "Thank you. Do you have any luggage to check in?" Leila nodded and answered, "Yes, just this suitcase." The agent continued, "All right, your bag is within the limit. Here is your boarding pass. Gate 14, boarding starts at 10:30. Leila said happily, "Thank you very much." Leila smiled as she took her boarding pass. Everything seemed perfect. She thought she had plenty of time, so she decided to explore the airport. She walked around, looking at shops and restaurants, enjoying the lively atmosphere. After a while, she sat in a cafe and ordered a cup of tea. She checked her phone, scrolled through social media, and relaxed. Minutes turned into almost an hour. Suddenly, she glanced at the clock on the wall. It was already 10:40. Panic struck. Leila whispered to herself, "Oh no, boarding started 10 minutes ago." She grabbed her bag and ran toward gate 14. Her heart was racing, her hands shaking. When she arrived, the gate was closed. The airline staff stood there with serious faces. Leila said, out of breath, "Excuse me, I'm here for the Paris flight." One of the staff members said, "I'm sorry, boarding is closed. The plane has already left." Leila begged, "No, please, isn't there anything you can do?" The staff member shook his head and said, "I understand, but the flight is gone. Don't worry, go to the customer service desk. They will help you." Leila's eyes filled with tears. She felt embarrassed and disappointed, but she took a deep breath and walked to the customer service desk. She said, "Hello, I missed my flight to Paris. What should I do?" The customer service agent replied gently, "Don't worry, it happens. Let me check the next available flight. There is another one this afternoon at 4 p.m. we can rebook you for a small fee." Leila nodded quickly and said, "Yes, please, I'll take it." The agent smiled and said, "All right, here is your new boarding pass, gate 22. Please be there early this time." Leila said with relief, "Thank you so much, I will." Feeling calmer, Leila promised herself she would not waste time again. She walked toward the waiting area and decided to go through security immediately. The line at the security check was long, but she stayed calm. When it was her turn, the officer smiled politely and said, "Good afternoon, ma'am. Please place your bag and belongings in the tray." Leila replied, "Sure. Do I need to remove my laptop?" The officer nodded. "Yes, please. Laptop and liquids must be placed separately." Leila opened her handbag and remembered the water bottle inside. She said, "Oh, I forgot this water. Can I take it?" The officer shook his head kindly. "I'm afraid not. Liquids over 100 milliliters are not allowed. You need to throw it away." Leila sighed and said, "All right, no problem." Then the officer pointed to her shoes. He said, "Also, could you remove your shoes for scanning?" Leila looked surprised and asked, "My shoes too?" The officer smiled. "Yes, it's just part of the procedure." Leila replied nervously, "Okay, here you go." She walked barefoot for a moment, feeling awkward. The officer chuckled and said, "Don't worry, everyone feels strange the first time. You're doing fine." Leila smiled and said, "Thanks. It's my first time traveling alone, so everything feels new." The officer reassured her, "Then you're learning very fast. After today, you will be an expert." Leila passed through the scanner, but another officer stopped her tray. He asked, "Excuse me, is this your bag?" Leila answered, "Yes, it's mine. Is there a problem?" The officer explained, "We saw something unclear in the X-ray. Could you open it, please?" The heart jumped. She quickly unzipped her bag. Inside, there was a small pair of scissors she had forgotten. Leila gasped, "Oh, I didn't realize I had those." The officer said, "I'm sorry, scissors are not allowed in hand luggage." Leila nodded. "I understand. Please keep them." The officer smiled. "Now everything is fine. Have a safe trip." Leila said gratefully, "Thank you so much." She collected her belongings and whispered to herself, "Traveling alone is not easy, but I am learning step by step." Hours passed, and finally, it was time for her new flight. At gate 22, she waited calmly, checking the time every few minutes. This time, she promised she would not make another mistake. When boarding began, she showed her passport and ticket confidently. The gate agent smiled and said, "Have a nice flight." Leila replied, "Thank you." On the plane, Leila found her seat next to the window. A kind woman sat beside her. The woman smiled and said, "Hello, is this your first time flying?" Leila replied, "Hello, yes, it's my first time traveling alone." Now that you have listened to Leila's story at the airport, let's look at some important travel words that appeared in the story. These words will help you understand and speak better when you travel. Here are the top 10 useful words. The boarding pass. A card that lets you enter the plane. Example, here is my boarding pass. Gate. The place where you wait before boarding. Example, my flight is at gate 22. Check-in. The process of registering and dropping off luggage. Example, I need to check in my suitcase. Security check. The control where bags and passengers are scanned. Example, I'm going through the security check. Customs. The place where goods are checked after arrival. Example, do I need to go through customs? Delayed. When the flight is late. Example, our flight is delayed by 2 hours. Passport. An official travel document. Example, don't forget your passport. Luggage. Baggage. The bags you travel with. Example, my luggage is very heavy. Departure. The time or place when a flight leaves. Example, the departure is at 4 p.m. Arrival. The time or place when a flight comes in. Example, the arrival gate is very crowded.